The Portrait in the Rain. A story of betrayal, revenge, and unexpected love. Welcome to Heart's Obsession. Don't forget to like and subscribe. The Gallery of Broken Dreams. The rain that changed everything. The rain fell hard against the windows of Meridian Gallery that Thursday evening. Elena Martinez stood alone in the empty exhibition hall, staring at a painting that made her heart stop. Her hands trembled as she moved closer to the artwork hanging on the pristine white wall under perfect lighting. It was her painting. Every brushstroke, every color choice, every emotion poured onto that canvas. She remembered creating it 3 years ago. But the signature in the corner wasn't hers. It read Marcus Chen in bold, confident letters. Elena felt the world tilt beneath her feet. Her breath caught in her throat as memories flooded back. Memories she had buried deep, hoping they would never surface again. The woman who lost her dreams. Elena was 28 years old, but sometimes she felt ancient. 3 years ago, she had been a rising star in the art world, full of dreams and passion. She had believed in love, in talent, in the goodness of people. Then Marcus Chen had walked into her life and destroyed everything. Now she worked as an assistant at Meridian Gallery, a prestigious space funded by a mysterious benefactor known only as Mr. Blackwood. She hung other people's art, organized exhibitions, smiled at wealthy collectors, and pretended her own dreams hadn't died. She painted in secret, in her tiny apartment, canvases she never showed anyone. But seeing her stolen work displayed under Marcus's name awakened something inside her, something fierce and burning that she thought had disappeared forever. The memory of betrayal. Elena closed her eyes and let herself remember. 3 years ago, she and Marcus had been engaged. They had met at an art school exhibition where Elena's work had received critical acclaim. Marcus had been charming, talented, and utterly convincing. He told her she was brilliant. He told her he loved her. He told her they would conquer the art world together. What he didn't tell her was that he was already planning to steal everything from her. Marcus had gradually convinced Elena that her work wasn't good enough for public viewing. "You're talented," he would say with false gentleness, "but you need more refinement. Let me help you. Let me guide you." Slowly, he destroyed her confidence. He convinced her to let him improve her paintings. He isolated her from other artists, from galleries, from opportunities. And then, one morning, Elena woke up to find him gone. He had taken her portfolio, her finished paintings, her sketches, her laptop with years of digital work. He had taken everything and disappeared. 2 months later, she saw his first major exhibition, filled with her art, her ideas, her soul, all credited to him. Elena had been devastated. She tried to speak out, to prove the work was hers, but Marcus had been clever. He had powerful friends, lawyers, and enough money to bury her claims. Nobody believed an unknown artist over the celebrated Marcus Chen. The art world called her jealous, desperate, delusional. So Elena had disappeared. She changed her name slightly, moved to a different city, and took the job at Meridian Gallery. She stopped showing her work. She stopped believing in herself. She survived, but she didn't live. Until tonight. The discovery. Elena pulled out her phone with shaking hands and photographed the painting. Then she checked the exhibition catalog. The piece was titled Solitude in Blue and was valued at $80,000. Marcus had sold it to a private collector just last week. Rage burned through Elena's chest. That painting represented 6 months of her life, poured into every layer of paint. She had created it during the darkest period of her relationship with Marcus, when she had felt most alone. The irony of the title made her want to scream. "Beautiful, isn't it?" a deep voice said behind her. Elena spun around. A tall man stood in the shadows near the gallery entrance. He was perhaps 35, dressed in an expensive dark suit that fit him perfectly. His face was angular and handsome, but his eyes, dark and intense, held something that looked like recognition. "I'm sorry," Elena said quickly, her heart pounding. "The gallery is closed. I was just..." I know who you are, Miss Martinez, the man said, stepping into the light. And I know whose painting that really is. Elena's breath caught. What? My name is Adrian Blackwood, he said, extending his hand. I own this gallery. And I've been waiting 3 years to meet you. The mysterious benefactor. Elena stared at Adrian Blackwood in confusion and fear. How did he know? What did he want? Was he working with Marcus? Please don't be afraid, Adrian said gently. I'm not your enemy. In fact, I believe we might be able to help each other. He gestured to a small office at the back of the gallery. Elena hesitated, every instinct screaming at her to run. But something in Adrian's eyes, pain that mirrored her own, made her follow him. The office was elegant and simple. Adrian poured 2 glasses of water and handed one to Elena before sitting across from her. I know what Marcus Chin did to you, Adrian began. I know he stole your work, destroyed your career, and left you with nothing. I know because he did the same thing to someone I loved. Elena gripped her water glass. Who? My younger sister, Maya, Adrian said quietly. Pain flickered across his face. She was a brilliant sculptor. 5 years ago, she met Marcus at an art residency in Florence. He seduced her, convinced her to share her work with him, and then stole her most important pieces. When she tried to expose him, he destroyed her reputation so thoroughly that no gallery would even look at her work. What happened to her? Elena asked, though she feared the answer. 2 years ago, she took her own life, Adrian said. His voice was steady, but Elena could see the grief in his eyes. She left a note saying the world had no place for her truth. That Marcus had won. Tears burned Elena's eyes. I'm so sorry. So am I, Adrian said. And I've spent the last 2 years planning how to make Marcus pay for what he did. Not just to Maya, but to every artist he's stolen from. You're not the only one, Elena. There are at least 7 others that I've found. Elena's mind reeled. 7? Marcus Chen has built his entire career on stolen art, Adrian explained. He's a parasite who targets talented, vulnerable artists, steals their work, and discards them. He's destroyed lives, careers, and dreams. And he's gotten away with it because he's charming, well-connected, and ruthless. Why are you telling me this? Elena asked. Adrian leaned forward, his eyes intense. Because I need your help to bring him down. And because you need me to reclaim your career and your life. The proposal. I've been buying Marcus's work for the past 2 years, Adrian explained. Every piece I could get my hands on. I've been documenting everything, collecting evidence, tracking down the original artists. But I need more. I need someone on the inside. Someone he trusts. Someone who can get close to him again. Elena felt cold. You want me to pretend to forgive him? To get close to him? I know what I'm asking, Adrian said. And I know it won't be easy. But Marcus is planning his biggest exhibition yet, at the International Contemporary Art Museum next month. It's going to cement his reputation as one of the great artists of our generation. Unless we stop him. How? Elena whispered. Adrian pulled out a folder and opened it. Inside were photographs of paintings, sculptures, and drawings, all stolen work from different artists. We expose him publicly at his own exhibition. We reveal every piece of stolen art, every lie, every destroyed life. We show the world who Marcus Chin really is. Elena looked at the evidence, her heart pounding. She saw her own paintings in the file, along with beautiful sculptures that must have been Maya's work. She saw sketches and notes in different handwriting, desperate pleas from artists trying to reclaim their stolen pieces. What do you get out of this? Elena asked Adrian carefully. Justice for my sister, Adrian said simply. And maybe, peace. Knowing that she didn't die for nothing. That her truth finally came out. Elena was quiet for a long moment. The rain continued to drum against the windows. She thought about the last 3 years, the silence, the shame, the loss of herself. She thought about Maya Blackwood, a talented artist who had lost hope. She thought about 7 other artists whose dreams Marcus had stolen. If I do this, Elena said slowly, I want something in return. Name it, Adrian said. I want my career back. Not just exposure of Marcus, I want a real exhibition of my new work. I want my name restored. I want the world to know that I'm a real artist, not a victim. Adrian smiled for the first time. It transformed his serious face, making him look younger and almost gentle. I was hoping you'd say that. I've already started planning your exhibition. It will open 2 weeks after we take Marcus down. Your own show, your own name, your own truth. Elena felt something she hadn't felt in 3 years, hope. It was terrifying and exhilarating at the same time. There's one more thing you should know, Adrian said, his expression becoming serious again. This won't be easy. Marcus is manipulative and dangerous. Getting close to him again means he'll try to control you, hurt you, use you. You'll have to be strong enough to resist him while pretending to fall for his lies again. I can do it, Elena said with more confidence than she felt. I believe you, Adrian said. And I'll be with you every step of the way. You won't be alone in this, Elena. I promise. The plan begins. Over the next 2 hours, Adrian and Elena mapped out their strategy. Adrian showed her everything he had collected, documentation of Marcus's theft, testimonies from other artists, financial records showing suspicious transactions. It was overwhelming and infuriating. How do I approach him? Elena asked. He hasn't seen me in 3 years. He probably thinks I've disappeared completely. You're going to accidentally run into him at the Riverside Art Fair this Saturday, Adrian said. I've arranged for you to have a small booth there showing some new work, nothing that would threaten him, just enough to get his attention. Marcus never misses the fair. He goes there to scout for new talent to steal. The thought made Elena sick, but she nodded. When he sees you, Adrian continued, act vulnerable. Act like you've been struggling but you're trying to rebuild. Make him think you've forgiven him, that you've moved past what happened. Make him believe you're no threat to him. And then? Elena asked. Then you let him back into your life slowly. Let him think he's winning you over again. Meanwhile, you'll be gathering evidence, recordings, photographs, documentation of everything he says and does. And when the time is right, at his big exhibition, we reveal everything. Elena felt her stomach twist with nerves and anticipation. This is really happening. Only if you're sure, Adrian said, studying her carefully. Once we start this, there's no going back. Marcus will come after you with everything he has if he discovers what we're doing. Are you absolutely certain you want to do this? Elena thought about her stolen paintings hanging in galleries under Marcus's name. She thought about Maya Blackwood, desperate and alone, believing her truth didn't matter. She thought about 7 other artists whose dreams had been crushed. She thought about the woman she used to be, confident, passionate, alive, and the ghost she had become. I'm certain, Elena said firmly. Let's destroy him. Adrian extended his hand. Partners? Elena shook it, feeling the warmth and strength in his grip. Partners. As Elena left the gallery that night, the rain had stopped. The city lights reflected in the wet pavement, making everything look clean and new. She felt different, lighter somehow, despite the dangerous game she was about to play. For the first time in 3 years, she felt like herself again. She didn't know it yet, but accepting Adrian Blackwood's proposal would change her life in ways she could never imagine. The path ahead would test her courage, her art, and her heart. And by the end, nothing would be the same. The game had begun. Part 2, The Canvas of Deception. The fair. Saturday morning arrived bright and clear. Elena stood in her small booth at the Riverside Art Fair, surrounded by 5 of her new paintings. They were good, she knew they were good, but showing them publicly after 3 years of hiding felt like standing naked in front of a crowd. Her hands trembled as she arranged the small cards with prices beside each piece. The paintings were abstract portraits, emotional and raw. She had poured her pain, her anger, and her hope into every brushstroke. They were nothing like the work Marcus had stolen. She had deliberately changed her style, using darker colors and more aggressive techniques. She needed to seem different, transformed, non-threatening. Adrian had wanted to come with her for support, but they had agreed it was too risky. If Marcus saw them together, he might become suspicious. So Elena was alone, trying to control her racing heart as people began to fill the fair. "Elena?" The voice cut through the crowd noise like a knife. Elena's whole body tensed. She turned slowly and saw him. Marcus Chen stood 3 feet away, looking exactly as she remembered. Handsome in an effortless way, dressed in expensive casual clothes that screamed success. His dark hair was styled perfectly. His smile was warm and familiar. Looking at him, no one would guess he was a thief and a destroyer of dreams. "Marcus," Elena said, forcing surprise into her voice. I didn't expect to see you here." "Elena Martinez," Marcus said, moving closer. His eyes scanned her paintings with quick, assessing movements. "I heard rumors you were back in the city, but I didn't believe it. And you're painting again. I'm glad." The lie came so easily to him. Elena wanted to scream, to throw paint in his perfect face, to tell everyone around them what he really was. Instead, she smiled softly, playing her role. "I'm trying," she said, letting vulnerability creep into her voice. "It's been difficult, but art is who I am. I couldn't stay away forever." Marcus's expression became sympathetic. "Another lie." "I know things ended badly between us," he said carefully. "And I've always regretted how it happened. You deserved better." Elena nearly laughed at the audacity. He was rewriting history right in front of her, pretending he hadn't deliberately destroyed her life. "It's in the past," Elena said, the words tasting like poison. "We were young. People make mistakes." She saw something flicker in Marcus's eyes, relief, maybe, or calculation. He had expected anger, accusations, hatred. Instead, she was giving him forgiveness. It made him curious. "Your work has changed," Marcus observed, studying her paintings more closely. "It's darker, more aggressive. There's pain here." "Life changes people," Elena said simply. "Would you like to get coffee?" Marcus asked suddenly. "I'd love to catch up properly. Hear about what you've been doing these past 3 years. This was it, the moment she had been both dreading and waiting for. Elena hesitated just long enough to seem uncertain, then nodded. "I'd like that." The coffee shop confession. They sat in a small coffee shop 2 blocks from the fair. Marcus had ordered for both of them without asking what Elena wanted, a small power move she remembered well. He always had to be in control. "So tell me everything," Marcus said, leaning back in his chair with false casualness. "Where did you go? What have you been doing?" Elena told him the story she and Adrian had prepared. She had moved to Portland, taken a job in a bookstore, tried to forget about art. But eventually, she couldn't resist painting again. She had been in therapy, working through her pain, learning to forgive. She had realized that holding on to anger was only hurting herself. Marcus listened with practiced sympathy, nodding at all the right moments. Elena could see him evaluating her, trying to determine if she was really as broken and harmless as she appeared. "I've thought about you often," Marcus said softly. "About us? About what we had?" Elena forced herself not to flinch. "Have you?" "I made mistakes," Marcus continued, his voice full of false regret. "I was young and ambitious. I didn't treat you the way you deserved. But I've changed, Elena. Success has taught me what really matters." The hypocrisy was staggering. Marcus had built his entire career on stolen art, on destroyed lives, and he sat there pretending to be wiser and better. "What about you?" Elena asked, carefully steering the conversation. "I've seen your success. You've become exactly what you always dreamed of." Pride flashed across Marcus's face before he masked it with modesty. "I've been fortunate. The art world has been kind to me. I have a major exhibition coming up at the International Contemporary Art Museum, the biggest show of my career." "That's wonderful," Elena said, hiding her disgust behind a smile. "You should come," Marcus said suddenly. "To the exhibition? I'd love for you to see my new work. And maybe we could talk more. About the past, about the future. About possibilities." Elena's skin crawled, but she kept her expression soft and thoughtful. "I'd like that." As they said goodbye outside the coffee shop, Marcus touched her arm gently. "It's good to see you again, Elena." "Really good. I've missed you." Elena watched him walk away, her whole body tense with suppressed rage. She waited until he turned the corner, then pulled out her phone and texted Adrian, "Contact made." He took the bait. Adrian's response came immediately, "Well done. Meet me at the gallery tonight. We need to talk." The growing complication. That evening, Elena found Adrian waiting for her in his private office at Meridian Gallery. He had Chinese takeout spread across his desk and 2 glasses of wine poured. "You did it," Adrian said as Elena entered. There was relief in his voice. "I wasn't sure he'd approach you so quickly." "He's confident," Elena said, sitting down and accepting the wine. "He thinks I'm broken and harmless. He's already planning how to use me again." Adrian's expression darkened. "Are you okay?" "I know being around him must have been difficult." Elena was surprised by the genuine concern in his voice. Over the past week of planning, she had learned that Adrian Blackwood was nothing like she expected. He was wealthy and powerful, yes, but he was also kind, thoughtful, and deeply committed to justice for his sister. She found herself thinking about him at odd moments, remembering the way his eyes crinkled when he smiled, or how seriously he listened when she talked about her art. "I'm okay," Elena said. "It was hard, but I kept thinking about why we're doing this." That helped. They ate in comfortable silence for a few minutes. Then Adrian pulled out a small recording device. "I need you to wear this when you're with Marcus. It's tiny, he won't notice it. But it will record everything he says." Elena took the device, turning it over in her hands. "What if he finds it?" "He won't," Adrian assured her. "But if he does, you run. You get out immediately and call me. Your safety is more important than any evidence. Do you understand?" The intensity in Adrian's voice made Elena look up. Their eyes met, and something passed between them, something that had been building since the night they first met. An understanding, a connection, something deeper than their shared mission. "I understand," Elena said softly. Adrian cleared his throat and looked away, breaking the moment. "I have news. I found 2 more artists Marcus stole from. One in Barcelona, one in Seoul. They're both willing to testify and provide evidence." "That's 9 victims," Elena said. "9 that we know of," Adrian corrected. "There could be more. Marcus has been doing this for at least 7 years, possibly longer." Elena felt sick. How did he get away with it for so long? "Because he's smart," Adrian said. "He targets vulnerable artists, people who are isolated, struggling, desperate for recognition. He gains their trust, steals their work, and then destroys their credibility before they can fight back. By the time they realize what's happened, it's too late." "Like your sister," Elena said quietly. Adrian nodded, pain flickering across his face. Maya was so talented. She had this incredible vision, this way of seeing the world that was completely unique. Marcus saw that and wanted to own it. When he couldn't, he destroyed her. Elena reached across the desk and took Adrian's hand without thinking. "We're going to make sure everyone knows the truth." About Maya, about all of us. Marcus won't win this time. Adrian looked down at their joined hands, then up at Elena's face. Thank you, he said. For doing this. For being brave enough to face him again. I know it's not easy. Neither is what you're doing, Elena said. Confronting the man who drove your sister to suicide. That takes courage too. They sat like that for a moment, hands clasped across the desk, the weight of their shared purpose binding them together. Elena felt something shift inside her chest, something warm and frightening and utterly unexpected. She was falling for Adrian Blackwood. The dangerous dance. Over the next 3 weeks, Elena fell into a careful rhythm. She met Marcus twice a week, always in public places, always wearing the recording device. She listened to his lies, accepted his false apologies, and slowly allowed him to believe he was winning her trust again. Marcus moved carefully at first, testing her responses, measuring her vulnerability. But as Elena played her role perfectly, damaged but hopeful, lonely but healing, he became bolder. He started talking about their future, about how they could create art together again, about how talented she was and how much he had missed her. Every word was a manipulation, a calculated move to pull her back into his web. Elena recorded everything. Meanwhile, she met with Adrian almost every evening. They reviewed the recordings, documented everything, and built their case against Marcus. But something else was happening too, something neither of them had planned for. They began to know each other beyond the mission. Adrian told her about growing up with Maya, about their parents who had died in a car accident when he was 25, leaving him to raise his 16-year-old sister alone. He told her about his guilt for not protecting Maya from Marcus, about the years of grief and anger that had followed her death. Elena told him about her childhood, about her parents who had never understood her passion for art, about feeling invisible until she picked up a paintbrush and discovered she could create worlds. She told him about the woman she had been before Marcus, and the woman she hoped to become again. They talked about art and music and books. They laughed together. They shared takeout dinners and late-night coffee. And slowly, without either of them meaning for it to happen, they fell in love. This is a problem, Adrian said one evening, after they had almost kissed for the 3rd time and pulled apart at the last moment. I know, Elena said, her heart pounding. We can't afford distractions, Adrian continued, but his eyes told a different story. I know, Elena repeated. After this is over, Adrian said softly, after we've brought Marcus down and restored your career, maybe then. Maybe, Elena agreed. But they both knew that maybe was really definitely, and the wanting between them made everything more complicated and more dangerous. The trap springs. For weeks after Elena's first accidental meeting with Marcus, he invited her to his private studio. This was the breakthrough Adrian had been waiting for. Marcus only brought people he completely trusted into his personal space. Elena arrived at the expensive loft building where Marcus lived and worked. Her heart pounded as she rode the elevator up to the 20th floor. She was wearing the recording device under her shirt, along with a small camera hidden in her necklace that Adrian had given her the night before. Don't take any unnecessary risks, Adrian had said, holding her hands tightly. Get in, record what you can, and get out. If he tries anything, if you feel unsafe at all, you leave immediately. I will, Elena had promised. Marcus greeted her at the door with champagne and that charming smile. His studio was exactly what Elena had expected, huge, expensive, filled with artwork that probably wasn't his. Large windows overlooked the city. Classical music played softly in the background. I wanted you to see this, Marcus said, leading her to a covered canvas in the center of the room. My newest piece. The centerpiece of my upcoming exhibition. He pulled the cover away with a flourish. Elena felt her heart stop. It was her painting. Another one she had created 3 years ago, one she had thought was lost forever. Marcus had displayed it proudly, his signature bold in the corner. What do you think? Marcus asked, watching her face carefully. This was the moment. Elena could expose him right here, right now. She could scream the truth, tell him she knew exactly what he'd done. But that would ruin everything. So instead, she swallowed her rage and played her role. "It's beautiful," she said softly. "You've grown so much as an artist." Marcus's smile widened. He had won, or so he thought. "I want to show you something else," he said, walking to a large portfolio case in the corner. "I've been holding on to these for years. I could never bring myself to show them or sell them." He opened the case and Elena's breath caught. Inside were at least 15 of her original paintings and sketches, work she had thought was gone forever, destroyed or sold or hidden away. "These remind me of us," Marcus said, his voice deceptively gentle. "Of what we had together. Of what we could have again." Elena forced herself to stay calm, to keep her expression neutral. The camera around her neck was recording everything. The hidden device was capturing Marcus's words. This was exactly the evidence they needed. "Why are you showing me this?" Elena asked carefully. Marcus moved closer, close enough that she could smell his expensive cologne. "Because I have a proposition for you. My exhibition at the International Contemporary Art Museum is going to be the biggest event of the year. Everyone who matters in the art world will be there. And I want you to be part of it." "Part of it how?" Elena asked. "I want to display some of your new work," Marcus said smoothly. "As my protégé. As the talented artist I discovered and mentored. It would be a fresh start for you, Elena. A way back into the art world. And for us, it could be a new beginning." Elena felt sick. This was Marcus's ultimate manipulation. He would display her new work under his name as her mentor, stealing credit for her talent once again while making himself look generous and supportive. He would control her career, her reputation, her future. She would become invisible again, just a footnote in his success story. "That's very generous," Elena managed to say. Marcus smiled, thinking he had won. "We'll announce it next week. I've already spoken to the museum director. She's thrilled." He reached out and touched Elena's face gently. "I never stopped caring about you, Elena. I know I hurt you before, but I've changed. Let me make it up to you. Let me help you become the artist you were always meant to be." Every word was a lie, and they both knew it. But Marcus thought Elena believed him. He thought she was broken enough, desperate enough, to accept his poisoned offer. "I need to think about it," Elena said, stepping back from his touch. "This is a big decision." Something flickered in Marcus's eyes, irritation, maybe, or suspicion. But then his smile returned. "Of course. Take your time. But not too much time, the exhibition is only 3 weeks away." As Elena left the studio, her hands were shaking so hard she could barely press the elevator button. She held herself together until she reached her car, then she pulled out her phone and called Adrian. "Elena?" Adrian answered immediately. "Are you okay?" "I got everything," Elena said, her voice breaking. "The paintings, the manipulation, the proposition. All recorded. We have him, Adrian. We finally have him." "Come to the gallery," Adrian said gently. "Right now. Don't go home. Come here." The breaking point. Elena drove to Meridian Gallery with tears streaming down her face. All the rage and pain she had been holding back for weeks finally broke through. Seeing her stolen paintings in Marcus's studio, hearing him casually plan to steal her future again, had shattered her careful control. Adrian was waiting at the private entrance. The moment Elena saw him, she collapsed into his arms, sobbing. He held her tightly, one hand stroking her hair, murmuring gentle words until her tears slowed. "I'm sorry," Elena gasped. "I'm sorry. I should be stronger than this." "You are the strongest person I know," Adrian said fiercely. "Do you understand me? What you just did, going into that monster studio, facing him, recording evidence while he tried to manipulate you again, that took incredible courage." He led her upstairs to his private apartment above the gallery. Elena had never been there before. It was elegant but warm, filled with books and art and comfortable furniture that looked actually lived in. Adrian made her tea and wrapped a blanket around her shoulders. Then he sat beside her on the couch and listened as she told him everything, every word Marcus had said, every painting she had seen, every moment of the twisted proposition. He wants to make me his protégé, Elena said bitterly. He wants to steal my new work while pretending to help me. He wants to control me all over again. He's not going to get the chance, Adrian said firmly. We're going to stop him at his own exhibition. We're going to expose every lie, every stolen piece, every destroyed life. And when we're done, Marcus Chin will never manipulate another artist again. Elena looked up at Adrian. His dark eyes were full of fierce protectiveness and something deeper, something that made her heart race. Adrian, she said softly. I need to tell you something. What is it? I'm falling for you, Elena said. The words tumbled out before she could stop them. I know this is the worst possible timing. I know we said we'd wait until after everything was over. But I can't pretend anymore. Being around Marcus, listening to his lies, it made me realize, you're the opposite of everything he is. You're honest and kind and you actually see me. The real me, not just what you want me to be. And I'm falling for you. Adrian was quiet for a long moment. Then he cupped Elena's face in his hands and kissed her.